everything happened all at once and so fast. I read it so you don't have to. Her Soul for Revenge, Harley LaRoe. There's not a point in time where I was not kicking my feet and not giggling, because that's exactly what I did this entire story. I don't know what you sprinkled into this book. It's amazing. So if you like dark fantasy, dark romance, spicy action, this is the book for you. Hello, all you lovely beings, and welcome back to my page. We are already nearing the end of November. We are almost at the end of the year. Where the heck did 2024 go? I can't believe it's almost 2025. That being said, there's a few more books that I want to read before the year is over. So I'm trying to speed through all of them. Whether you get to see that or not, I don't know. Her Soul for Revenge by Harley LaRoe. LaRoe. As you can see, there are a ton of highlights in this book. Have I ever highlighted a book before? No. Is this the very first book that I've ever highlighted? Yes. Everybody gets on to me about the folded dog pages, but I cringe whenever I see the highlight. Yes, highlighting looks so good, but I can't do the sticky notes. The sticky notes would bother me. Even if my books are facing this way, it would still bother me. So highlighting it is, but I actually really enjoyed the process, and I highlighted way more than I thought that I would. And normally these videos are all over the place, and I'm pretty sure this video is still gonna be all over the place, but I wrote everything down in a list of what I wanted to go over and talk about. So hopefully that helps. First things first, this video will have spoilers. The first half, I'm going to try to make not spoilers, and then I'll give you a warning when we get to all of the spoilers. So no spoilers now, spoilers later. So if you want spoilers, you can skip ahead, or you can stay here for the summary of the story. And yes, I know I sound sick. The whole reason this video took me forever to get to is because I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, so I just now sound like a normal person. So this is the Souls trilogy. The first book, somewhere, I think it's right here. Yeah, we have the first book right here, Her Soul to Take. Now we have Her Soul for Revenge. If you didn't see my last video about Her Soul to Take, these are a trilogy, but each of them are a standalone. But if you want to know the entire history of the town that this book is focused in, you gotta start from the beginning. First thing is first, what I'm gonna say is, Harley, please take no offense. I don't know what you sprinkled into this book. It's amazing. World of a difference from Her Soul to Take. I enjoyed that book, and it is a guilty pleasure book that I've already read twice. I read it twice. But it lacked everything that this book has. What I was expecting out of that book, I got in this book. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it today, because it just, everything that I wanted in the first book is in the second book. This, out of all three, my overall rating of the book, 3.5, 4 stars. I'll give it 4 stars out of 5. The spice level is a 4 out of 5. I would say 5 out of 5, but I've read slightly spicier, so the spice is really up there, but it's still not 5 out of 5 spice. Book wise, 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. It was really well written, way different than the first. Also, if you are not aware and you are here for this video, reminder, this is a dark romance spicy book. When I say dark, I mean dark. That book, mildly dark. This book, yeah. If you're ever wondering what kind of level of book you're getting with a Harley book, there's always a warning page. It's usually down here at the bottom, and I'm going to try to not show it so that I don't get banned for showing you the things that you should see before you read this book. There's a lot of, even besides the spice, there's a lot of trauma in this book. It is, as I quoted from my TikTok, it is all trauma. The entire book is just trauma up until the end. So without further ado, let's get into what this whole book is about in the first place. This story takes place in a small town called Abelum. There, right there. We're back in the town of Abalum. Our main characters of the book are Juniper and Zane. And when I say that this book, I always have grievances with books that don't get me in the first 3 or 4 chapters. It's also why I've never read Hunger Games. I tried, and I'm sorry. I know they get better, and maybe that's something I'll read later. But it was so hard to read at the first start of the book. That's why ACOTAR took me so long to read. The first 19 chapters killed me to the point I almost DNF'd the book. There is no issue with that in this book. From page one, I was hooked, okay? It is back-to-back nonstop action throughout the entire book. And as much as this is a fast-paced book, the story moves cohesively. Nothing felt rushed. So if you read the first book, we have character reintroductions. Again, we have the sibling pair, Jeremiah and Victoria. And this is set before the first book's plot starts. So Juniper is 15 at the time. She's hanging out with one of our main characters. And it just all goes downhill from there. And it just action packed. Even after we have we have 2 small time skips. And even then, it is back to back to back action all the way till the end of the book. So if you like romance, but you also like action, this is the book for you. I'm not spoiling anything when I tell you in the very first chapter, we learn that Juniper is being sacrificed by this cult. Same as Raylan was trying to be sacrificed in the first book, but she gets away, which we know by the first book. But this explains to you how she gets away, kind of. After she gets away, at some point, I think she tries to go home and then she's sent to a mental psych ward for 3 years. So that's our time skip, is when she gets out in 3 years. She's like freshly 18 and shit does not go well for her. There's another time skip and now we're in the current time of the plot from the first book. She knows all of this happened, but nobody believes her. Not even her brother. Her mom does not believe her, nobody. So she is on her own trying to figure this out and on the run. So with our time skip, there's a reason Juniper is back in town. And it has to deal with events that happened in the first book that bring her back into town. And by this point, she has made her deal with Zane. Let me just pause and say that I loved Zane from book 1 and he wasn't even the main character. I really, really love Zane now. Zane is, I know I'm gonna really, really love Callum. Zane is everything for me. They make a deal and Zane is gonna help Juniper get her revenge. So if all that interests you, then this is the book for you. Action, spice, fast-paced but not rushed, romance, demons, gods, and witches. If any of that interests you, this is the book for you. Now, warning, from here on out, nothing but spoilers, because I want to talk about the depth of the book. I want to talk about what happens. If you want to see my reactions in real time, you can go to my TikToks. I think I'm going to try to upload it here. If you guys want to see my live reaction to this book, go check out my reels, because I had so many reactions to this book. Not only with the spice, but with the events that happened. I was a little shook. I was very surprised near the end of the story. So, spoilers. Going to my handy dandy notes to make sure I stay on track with everything, because normally I'm all over the place and I still feel like that. My likes about this book: the fast paced without being rushed. I cannot stand a spicy book where it is all spice and no plot. I need a mix of both, but I can't have our plot be rushed. I've also discovered that in many spicy books, the plot, if it's really, really good, they rush it. Harley, whatever you sprinkled into this book is crack, because it is so good. I like the writing style, I like the pace, and I really enjoyed the characters. They are worlds apart from Leon and Raylan. I also really enjoy how Juniper is able to acknowledge that Raylan was too stupid to live in her soul to take. Again, going back to the start of this video, the trauma that Juniper has experienced throughout this entire story How she's able to function, I have no idea. So I am so glad that she has Zane to help her be a person again, to help her rediscover. And the fact that he tells her that she was never built for this world, that she was too amazing for this world. There's not a point in time where I was not kicking my feet and not giggling, because that's exactly what I did this entire story. The other thing that I like about this book is we get an understanding about the archdemons and what it takes to be an archdemon and how long it usually takes for you to become an archdemon, hinting at the last half of the book, where Zane's eyes become just black at the end, and I really hope that we get a small glimpse, a sprinkling of anything in the third book about Zane's black eyes and him becoming an archdemon. I am obsessed. I need just a story on him becoming an archdemon. That's all I need. I love how we get the growth from Juniper from the start of the story, as she was still badass. She was able to escape, okay? She escaped a god trying to kill her, and she comes back for revenge. And not only do we get to see her walls break down around Zane, we get to see her open up, and she thinks that she can't really make friends. But she definitely made friends along the way while she was on the run, because there's people and places that she's able to go back to. So I think that's something that she wasn't even aware of herself. Just how likable she is. How hardened and difficult and stubborn she has to become. Like, she already realizes that she was a problematic child growing up. Like, that's the first page of the book. But then we really get a glimpse as to how that trauma has etched into her daily life. And how she's always carrying a weapon with her. She's always making sure that she's not being followed. She's always having to be paranoid. She never sleeps in comfortable places. She's never anywhere long. There's no sense of security for her. And yet she still becomes a compassionate person. She still is able to connect with Leon, the demon who tried to kill her. And at the end of the book, she's going, oh wow, maybe we weren't so different after all. So seeing her growth it made me really love the both of them. I love both Juniper and Zane, and I love them together. At no point in time did I see Zane becoming an archdemon. I guess I should have seen the hints towards the middle end of the story where we see Callum, but I didn't think Zane was that old, because he was talking that Callum was around when they were fighting Reapers back in the day. Zane did not make it sound like Zane was a part of that at all whatsoever. So Zane's not that old. He's older than Leon is what I gathered. But how many souls did he collect? And I love the little cameos that we get between Leon and Zane, where we get caught up on, I was really curious about in the very first book what Zane and Leon were talking about when Raylan was eavesdropping on them inside the little cafe bar area. And then when she had followed them outside because she just wanted to get some air or whatever. And her and Leon share that little moment, and Zane's kind of like witness to it. Yeah, we get all of that. All of that. And can I just say how much I love Zane and Leon together as their bond? It melts my heart every single time, because Leon basically has the chip on his shoulder that Zane deserves. I don't know. I like Leon. I don't love him. I like him a lot, but he's so brooding for somebody who he loves so easily. That's the thing. He loves easily. Zane did not love easily. I think that's what drew me in, is he found a hard person to love, and he's a hard person to love, and they found each other. And the same thing was similar between Zane and Leon. They're both hard people to love, but yet they still found each other, and they have a special bond. And we get to see that reoccurring throughout the book. And I also want to point out, I love the fighting in this book. The fighting is everything that I wanted from the first book. Like, we got to see Leon kind of go after the Reaper, but I compared him to Eren Yeager, and that still holds true. He still got his butt kicked a lot. Zane went to town on that Reaper. Zane and Juniper both, the teamwork between them was incredible. In that whole scene where they smash the amulet, and then she uses them for the bullets. Oh my gosh, genius. I was along for the ride the entire time. And then when Zane was fighting Jeremiah, that fight was everything that I needed in a fight. The detail, the emotion that we get from each character, how connected I got to all of the characters. And then I also want to point out how excited I am to read the last book about Callum and Everly, because the dedication that man has for Everly, and the little bonus chapter we get, the little tidbit in this version of the book, oh, I am beyond ready. Also, sorry that this video is all over the place. It gets dark at like 5 o'clock and the sun has been gradually setting, so it's getting darker. And I'm trying to figure out like my lighting. So please excuse the dark parts of the video. But now I want to talk about the spice, because the spice is very different from Leon and Raylan's spice. So that's another thing that I want to touch on, is the drastic and clear separation of characters, where not all the characters sound or feel the same while you're reading. To me, Leon is perfect for Raylan. They are very, as much as Leon is very aggressive, I don't know, he just has this tenderness about him that Raylan kind of needs. Zane and Juniper, on the other hand, Zane's tenderness towards Juniper is drastically different than Leon's tenderness towards Raylan. Zane, okay, so when I say that this book is full of trauma for Juniper, not only has she been attacked by a cult, her body is scarred, she's been on the run ever since she's been 15, she's like in her early 20s right now. That kind of mentally does something to a person, you know? And Zane has been watching her this entire time. He understands why she is the way that she is, but he also cannot understand how strong she still is. And so quickly does he grasp onto the fact that she enjoys giving him control of the situation, because she's in control of everything all of the time. Like I said before, she's constantly on the run. She's always looking over her shoulder. Zane gives her that security where she doesn't need to feel that. She doesn't need to feel like she's having to just, is somebody watching me? Is the god gonna come after me? Zane very tenderly gives her the confidence and the strength to give him the reins of the situation, because she understands that he's not gonna hurt her, whether it be emotionally or physically. Physically, things do get a little painful, but nothing that she doesn't allow to happen. And there's this whole point where so in the first book we learned that to give your soul to your demon, you have to etch their name into your skin, the name that Leon so desperately wanted back in the first book. And there's this point where Juniper is holding the knife, and then she just physically, she cannot do it. She cannot use the knife on herself because of the trauma from the cult. And so what does Zane do? Zane helps her. He takes control. She allows him to do that. And as much as it's like an emotional toll on her, it's also the first step into her being able to trust somebody else that's not just herself. And then later on we get a scene where she does the same thing to him, for him, but in her name, and she's more confident this time. Like I said, the growth that each character has in this book is just... Raylan had minor growth in the first book. I don't even want to go into that. There's a whole lot that I skipped over in the first book. I had a lot of dislikes in the first book in my first video, and I'm so sorry, because this book is where it's at. I'm all about this book. So not only does the spice allow room for Juniper to become herself, the part where she got revenge on Cont was very... I did not expect the spice to happen during said revenge, and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm so happy for Juniper to get her revenge. I just don't know if I could personally want to do spice in that scene, but I am... Go Juniper. Having to check my handy dandy notes again to make sure I'm still on track. I also like, we get a little scene between Everly and Juniper, and we see that Everly is like struggling with this immense power. I'm really excited to see that in Soul of a Witch. And then one of my favorite lines out of the whole book is when Zane tells Juniper that wanting her soul is not enough. Having her soul, that's not what he wants now. He wants her heart. giggling, kicking my feet. A demon who doesn't love easily, who doesn't love humans and only sees humans as tools to be used. And then he falls for a human because he wasn't understanding why Leon wanted Raylan so bad. He was like, it's a human, you know. And then he's been stalking Juniper for like 5-6 years now. And you didn't put 2 and 2 together, buddy, that you were really interested in her? Come on. I think I've gone over everything. There was not a lot that I disliked about this book. I really don't think there was anything I disliked. There was no ends untied. I enjoyed the epilogue. I liked Raylan and Leon's epilogue, but it wasn't... This epilogue gave me what I felt like closure that I needed. And I felt closure with this book. I know it's a part of a trilogy and I could read it as a standalone, and as a standalone, I had closure. It's one of the rare moments in a book that I feel like everything just kind of had a good ending. I do wish that Harley would kind of touch on one of Zane's bonded demons that he is friends with and her human. Like the little cameo that we got with them, I really want a story on how they met, their love, and why she fell for a human, because that just sounds divine. All right, well, there you have it. I read it, so you don't have to. Her Soul for Revenge by Harley LaRue. I give it 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. Spice level, I'm definitely giving 4 stars, maybe 4.5 out of 5. Not the darkest or spiciest I've read, but pretty interestingly spicy and very good for the plot, where it actually works with the story and it's not just smut to be smut. I like my smut books, but I like my smut to have plot, and this plot is literally everything. From start to finish, action-packed all the way through. Even in the parts where we had downtime, there was still that sense of there's no downtime until the story's over. And then we finally get to see the calm down, and our girl gets in therapy at the end of the book. Yes, therapy for everybody. And not only that, her therapist is a demon therapist. She's gone through all of this, so it's not like Juniper finally gets to tell her story to somebody who believes her and knows about the world. So it's just like, oh, okay. No, she actually gets real help towards the end of the book, even though she was reluctant. I'm so happy for her. It's just, like I said, the ending is good. The plot is good. The pace of the book is good. The way it is written, I feel like, is vastly different from the first as well. So again, these are my personal thoughts. If you agree or disagree, please let me know. I would love to hear your opinion. If you like this book, tell me why you like this book. If you don't like this book, tell me why. And if this brought you any interest in reading the book, please read the book. Please read the trilogy. I'm so excited. I'm so ready to read the last book. It's not the book that I'm going to read next. If you saw my previous video, I'm actually going to read A Court of Mist and Fury. That is my next book that you will see, probably in December. I feel like ACOTAR is a good December winter book read, especially what I know from the second book to be. I feel like it's a good winter read. So I'm going to wait till December to post that video. So if you like this video, please let me know. Like and subscribe down below. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you for chilling and hanging out with me and listening to me rant about books. All right, you guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye. Abelum. This book takes, oh my goodness. This story takes place in a small town called Abelum. Abelum. Juniper's back in Antebellum, Alabama.